Hey everybody, this is Brian Fleischman again. I'm back here talking about inheritance today. You saw the title of the video. We're going to get into the mechanics of constructors and how it's kind of weird when you're subclassing other classes and how the constructor thing works. A lot of people are seeing errors. A lot of people are kind of asking me questions about how constructors work. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, I'm going to start a new class in here. I'm going to close my package explorer. Okay, so it's not in the way. I'm just going to make a class called, how about Mammal, okay? And that's all it's going to be. My source folder, I need to actually pick one, so let's pick. Sorry about this. This is stuff I probably could have done behind the scenes. How about let's pick that one? Okay. So this is stuff you probably don't have to do. So here's my class Mammal. Let's make another one. So what's something that is a mammal? How about primate would be. Now, when we have superclass here, we can actually choose the superclass, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to show you a different way. If you ever want to extend a class, you can always kind of navigate through here and pick the type, and we're going to have to dig through a folder structure to find it. So I don't think this is the best way to do it. So let's just let superclass be object for now. And then we'll notice that we have mammal and we have primate. Since every primate is a mammal, we can say extends mammal. I'm betting that you know a little bit about inheritance, so that this is not surprising. If you need some more brush up on general inheritance stuff and what this word means, we'll have to talk about that in a different video. So I'm going to make up some very, very bogus and probably unnecessary field variables for mammal. So we might have, for example, every mammal has, let's say, a weight. And then maybe, how about a string of hair color? I don't know. Okay, so every mammal has hair, okay? So we might as well have hair color for the mammal. Okay, so being that primate extends mammal, essentially it gets those fields as well. So every primate's going to have those fields. We just don't have to write them again. Okay, so let's write a constructor for, actually before we go there, let's make a new class that's going to be a testing class. Okay, how about a test? How about that? So this one's going to have our main method. If you have Eclipse, you can have this, I don't know if you guys knew this, check this box that adds a main method for you. So let's see, can we instantiate a mammal right now? I'm just curious, can we instantiate a mammal? Let's try it. So mammal, my mammal, I don't know. Remember, you get to choose your variable names. It equals new mammal. And I haven't built any constructors, so I guess this would work. And I guess it's not that it's not an error. It's just saying you never used it other than creating it, so that's not a problem. Can we make a primate? My primate equals new primate. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I need you guys to remember that every time that you make an object class like this, even if it's empty, Java will give it a constructor for free. Okay? The constructor that it gives you is one that looks like this, okay? A constructor always starts with, I guess, public and then the name of the class. And it's parameterless, and the body is totally empty. So essentially, this is what it gives you for free. So I've literally actually added no functionality to this class interaction here. It's going to be the same. Nothing changed. So if I delete this, and Java sees that you have not provided a constructor for your classes, it'll go, oh, I feel bad for you. You don't know how to make a constructor, so I'll make you one behind the scenes. Do we see that written on the screen? No, we don't, but it's okay. Java takes care of it for us. So far we have these. Now here's where people start running into problems, right? So for example, with this mammal, right? When people want to make a constructor for this, public mammal, and we have, we're going to pass in some parameters. They're going to pass in a weight, and they're also going to pass in a hair color. Okay, so if you need, so I'm going to assume that you know stuff about objects and constructors a little bit, and that the new information is this interaction between superclasses and subclass constructors. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all the mechanics of constructors. You guys should know what this dot weight equals weight, this dot hair color equals hair color. You've probably done a zillion of these things before. All right, so then I save, and then I start getting problems. Did you see that? Well, first of all, this is not a surprise to us, right? If you know anything about constructors, Java saw now that we wrote a constructor for mammal, so it doesn't feel bad for us anymore, and it doesn't give us that pity constructor, that default constructor for free. It just takes it away. So it goes, oh, they know how to write a constructor, so this is the only one that exists right now. So when we ask the test class to build the new mammal using this parameterless constructor, no go, it doesn't exist anymore, okay? So I guess we could fix this by adding some parameters here. How about this mammal weighs like 2,000 pounds and has a hair color of black? Okay, maybe a gorilla or something, I don't know. So there we go, that works now. Do we have a primate though? Let's see. This code is not giving us an error, but primate is giving us an error. Okay, let's see, this is the kind of stuff I see in class, and I'd like to explain it to everybody at the same time, right? So they hover over this, and it makes them want to quit because it says, implicit superconstructor mammal is undefined for default constructor. And when you read that, it makes a lot of sense to nerds, but maybe to us, peons, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But let me explain it to you what it's trying to say. Okay, so let's again write this constructor that it gave us for free, public primate. Okay, so remember this is the one that it gives us for free. Okay, so the weird thing about when you have a subclass, right, a primate is a mammal, which means that every time you try to instantiate a primate, you actually also need to be creating a mammal. Now think about what that means in the real world. That makes sense, right? Every time a primate is born, I guess a mammal is born too, right? You can't actually have a primate without having a mammal. So the code actually needs to simulate that, right? So by making a primate, we actually need to make a mammal. Now, what's the only way we have to make a mammal? Oh, we have to make it using this constructor, okay? So we actually need to, as our first line of our primate constructor, because we made a primate, we need to make a mammal. So let's access the superclass's constructor, and here's how you do it, right? You actually need to use the word super. Do you see it light up? It's a keyword. And then we need to pass in some stuff, right? So I guess, we don't get any, the way we've written this constructor, we don't have any parameters passed in. So I guess just for this example, we're going to have the uncomfortable task of just picking some random numbers for the weight, I don't know, 100 pounds, and a hair color, which is brown, I suppose, right? Now to have control over these, we're going to need to adjust the parameter list of primate. Now do you notice that it's kind of happier now? I saved, and now I don't get this, right? So now it's happy. So a primate is born, and because a primate is born, a mammal must be born. Well, what's the only way to create a mammal? We have to use the constructor, which takes a weight and a hair color. Now remember, just what super means is you can kind of see it this way, right? What is the super class to primate? Well, let's look what it's done. This mammal. Okay, so the super, which is the mammal constructor. Can you see it if you hover over it? Okay, so we need to use that. Now, so let's go back a little bit, okay? So let's go back and write in the code. I'm going to back up and I'm actually going to delete this, okay? So hopefully you got some understanding out of that. And I'm going to delete this one, okay? And I'm going to save, and I'm going to go delete this stuff. Not the whole thing, but just so I don't have any errors anymore. And I've got problems. Okay, now we're good. Okay, so remember when we had it just like this, and we didn't even have these, right? So what really is going on here behind the scenes is that we have the Freebie constructor, public primate. Remember, it's the Freebie constructor that has nothing in it, and mammal also has one, right? So I guess public mammal. So this is all written behind the scenes. I just want you to know that what I've just done added absolutely no new functionality to these classes. Okay, but didn't you say just a second ago that every time you make a primate, you need to create a mammal? I don't see any creation of a mammal in there. That's a really good observation, but guess what Java does, right? It thinks to itself, well, I know we need to make a mammal. I wonder if there is a default constructor available to me, a default super constructor available to me. Let's look. There is, right? This is all behind the scenes, but I'm writing it out for you. So I guess what really it's doing is this. It's saying super, right? And now what parameter list does this mammal class have? It's an empty one, right? So this is really what's going on. So if we could see behind the scenes, okay? If we could see behind the scenes of these classes before we wrote these in, this is what would be there. This is what Java does for us. It makes a default mammal constructor. Think about that. It makes the freebie, right? It makes a freebie primate constructor, and because it knows it must extend mammal, it tries to see if there's a a freebie super constructor, and it turns out that there is. So that's why that worked that first time. Do you remember when we had just totally empty classes and I created a mammal, mammal, my mammal equals new mammal, right? This constructor worked because I guess Java had this one written behind the scenes for us for free. With the primate one, we're almost there. I bet you guys are already getting this, but I'm just kind of going over it one more time. Primate stuff equals new primate. Before we had written the constructor, Java had given us the primate freebie constructor for free. And this is actually what the freebie constructor of a subclass looks like. It has no parameter, and it tries to reference a super constructor, which is also a default, right? So let's just see what kind of things break this. This is going to be, I don't want this recording to go too long. But I wonder, like, let's say if I kind of take this out, this is what's written behind the scenes. So really I haven't taken away any functionality. So far we're good. I wonder if I start adding parameter lists to this, okay? Say I just have an int weight up here. Just I'm going to do one parameter, int weight. And I do something like this dot weight equals weight. And I'm going to save. Well, just as we thought might happen, there is a problem now. Now, why do you think? So what's written here behind the scenes? Do you remember? It's this. Now, this is what reveals the problem. There's no longer a default super constructor, right? Because this no longer has a default super constructor, we have to actually, probably use this constructor, right? The one that takes a weight, right? So we have to either, do this, pass in an int, or I suppose what we could do is maybe explicitly write the default constructor. Remember, if you write your own constructor, Java takes that default constructor away. But maybe if we want to still have that functionality, you can say public mammal and write your own default constructor. So Java now, just because it didn't write it for you doesn't mean you can't have one. You just have to explicitly say that. And do you see how this is now happy? So if I delete this stuff, it's fine, right? We have no problems, right? Because let's just do this more. So let's look at it. Java gives you this for free. Does the super constructor have an empty one? Does the superclass have an empty constructor? Yes, because we actually expelled it out. Okay, so maybe a little bit crazy at first, but I swear if I can understand it, I know you guys can too. That's kind of the mechanics of subclass and superclass constructors. I hope that cleared things up, and please just leave me a comment or a message if you want me to go into anything any further, if you have any specific questions about constructing objects of superclass and subclass relationship. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a message and comment. I love when you guys do. I'll talk to you soon. Happy coding.